talking about the Bears and the Ravens. Of course, we got full coverage all day Sunday right here on ESPN 1000. One thing Kap and I talked about already this week is that, Caleb Williams, we felt like there was a step back from the Commanders game. But one of the things we want to see is Caleb kind of run with the football. And we just wonder why that was the case.
I thought the same thing during the broadcast of the game. I thought in 3 of the 4 plays that he had significantly long scrambles that he could have probably taken it upfield and gotten to the 7 to 10 yards that the Bears needed at that point to get a new set of downs. But I do think when you're in the process of learning a system and the better you're learning it, the more you feel if you can create some free time for yourself that you can find an open opportunity downfield. And I think that's what a lot of quarterbacks and how they develop, the better they get to know it, the more threatening they feel they can be by throwing the ball and not necessarily running it. But when you go back and you look at the film of the game, you also have a chance to see it from, up above saying, God, if I would have just ran here and got out of bounds or slid and not take a hit, we could have got another set of downs. And I think that type of stuff soaks into your head. But if Caleb feels that he's learning the system better and he feels that he can make a bigger play because of his athleticism, his scrambling ability, and staying alive, sometimes you have to live with those types of growing pains as well. But then you look at last week, they get in at 5 a.m. from Washington. Our Tuesday's already done. Then you have a soft practice on Wednesday. You got a limited practice on Thursday. You're still tired going into the weekend. And then you go out and you play the game on Sunday afternoon at noon. I'm not making excuses. I just think there is still a fatigue factor in those extremely short, tiring weeks that can sometimes affect and factor out in the game.
Okay, so somebody in that building said to me the other day, he's getting it. Because I said, what's going on with my guy Caleb? I need him to play better. He said, for the first time I could tell you, he walks to the line and he absolutely has full command of that offense and he knows what he's looking at. He said, I couldn't always tell you that. He said, I really think he's getting ready to have a breakout performance at some point in the next few weeks. He said, I'm telling you, he is much more reactive than having to think, what is which one's them? 54 them, Mike? No, 53's them. He said, I'm telling you, he's in full command of the offense. You watch every snap of every game, of every practice. Do you agree?
100%. And you can hear it in him and you can see it in him. There may be an instant where he breaks the huddle late and they go to the line of scrimmage with 10 seconds left. And he is not panicking at all. He's just waiting for, the opportunity to understand what he's seeing across the line of scrimmage from what he just said in the huddle, and then he can calmly go through the cadence. And that shows me that he is getting it because there isn't any moments of hesitation. There isn't any interruption in the snap count. One thing I do believe, though, the better he learns it, the more consistent he has to come with the rhythm of the count. Because when you look at Theo Benedett jumping off sides a couple times, I think Cole had one. Then you had 2 interrupted snaps by Drew Dahlman. I think a lot of that has to do, sometimes you're not being consistent with the rhythm of the count that you called in the huddle. Because when you get a quarterback that has said the cadence, like I always say, 1,500 times, 2,000 times to you guys, the way he says it in the huddle, you know exactly how it's going to sound at the line of scrimmage. So there's still some growing aspects to Caleb's game, but I think for sure that he is, processing the offense in the time frame that should be expected of him. I don't think it's a finished product yet, and maybe it won't be until next offseason, but in the way that Ben Johnson puts together game plans weekly, I think Caleb's doing a really good job.
Can I ask you one question? Hoodie and I were talking about this earlier, and what I've been told, correct me if I'm wrong, he needs to break the huddle at 18 seconds so that they have at least 3 seconds of time where Ben is in his ear before that cuts off. I'm listening to you and Jeff the other day, and I'm basically quoting you. You said, he's breaking the huddle at 5 seconds. We're going to have to take a timeout. You remember that?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, how does that happen?
But then I wonder, is Ben Johnson's call, is that a Denny's menu or is it short?
I think all the calls nowadays in the modern day NFL terminology are a Denny's menu, or maybe a Cheesecake Factory. Their
Yep.
menu's even bigger.
It is.
So when you and sometimes the plays aren't handed to a play caller. Sometimes they have to go and look at that play sheet that could be a few hundred plays long, and you're trying to call a play that you haven't called yet in the game, or it's the perfect timing for this specific call. And every once in a while, it'll take time. But to me, that shows me more that Caleb isn't panicking when he breaks the huddle with 5 seconds left. And I was surprised in that play, Cap, that he actually got the play off. But did Ben Johnson call a timeout from a sideline on that play, or did they call the play? Now I'm kind of confused because I thought maybe Ben called the timeout from the sideline.
I don't think he did. Am I wrong about that?
I don't know. Maybe I am, but I thought he called a timeout.
Yeah,
but
there was. They called the timeout because I'm listening to you and Jeff, and I could hear the exasperation in your voice. Correct me if you weren't exasperated. There's 5 seconds. They broke the huddle at 5 seconds, and I'm like in my car going, "What the hell, man? We got to get out of the huddle quicker." That's my problem with it.
Getting out of the huddle with 18 seconds on the clock, I think that's a little unrealistic. Because when you're talking about the personnel changes that Ben has almost on a play-by-play basis, and you're getting all those guys organized, getting the right guys in the game, then getting the play call, letting the guys get from the sideline to the huddle or wherever they finish the play off the field, that all takes time while the clock is running down. So I think with due time, there's going to be a point where Ben says probably 2 to 3 words out of his mouth, and then Caleb can finish it. Now he's still listening to the entirety of the call, and that does take a little time.
More time coming up, and also we're keeping our eyes on that story about Terry Rozier, arrested this morning by the FBI because of a sports betting gambling probe. Also, the head coach of the Portland Trail Blazers, Chauncey Billups, also arrested today. Just a point of fact, Terry Rozier has earned over $133 million over his 10-year NBA career.
And also now they're saying, Pablo Torre is, that it is not only illegal sports betting, illegal poker could be involved as well. What do we got, Molly's game?
Kap and J Hood.
Really?
On a Tom Thayer Thursday. So I threw out the name Joe Thuney, and Cap threw out the name Kevin Byard. So putting your feet to the fire, like who is the best player for the Bears for you the last 4 games?
Caleb Williams.
You're out of your mind.
I listen. I was
You're
listening
out of
to you.
your mind.
I was listening to you guys, and I heard you say that before. So
He needs to be.
I know he does, and he will. But to me, also, I think right now DeAndre Swift is carrying the load of the running back position. I know Monunga is starting to get some extra carries and stuff, but what DeAndre Swift has been able to do, his blitz pickup ability, and having the production that he's been able to have, I think DeAndre Swift has done a nice job in this little stretch.
So we got you on the record. DeAndre Swift's the best Bear of the last 4 games. Is that what you're saying, Tom Thayer?
Yeah.
You're out of your mind.
You're crazy. What do you I know. Well, Cap said Kevin Byard.
I said Joe Thuney.
Joe Thuney.
What's wrong with Joe Thuney?
And I did throw he countered with, I don't remember who.
I gave you an Edwards.
And I gave him DeAndre Swift or Tremaine Edmonds.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of guys that you can put out there. Jay Hood, there's not a lot of people that would say an offensive lineman, because then if that's the case, let's look at Theo Benedette, because he's the only guy that's been inserted into the lineup over the last couple of weeks, and a lot has changed up front. So, you think about when you look at the Baltimore Ravens, I think defensively they have a total of 8 sacks, and they've given up 15. So it'll be a big, deciding factor right there. If they are able to protect Caleb in that type of environment and give up no sacks, then Joe Thuney wins the crown. If they go out there and they get interceptions and they take the ball away and they sack Lamar Jackson, then it is Kevin Byard and TJ Edwards and that crew.
Well, I fully expect. In fact, I'm predicting Caleb Williams is going to have one of his best games of the season on Sunday. And if he does that, if he cooks like a chef, the Bears can go in there and win that football game. If he doesn't, I don't think they can win it.
Well, let's see the injury report after tomorrow's practice, not necessarily today, after tomorrow, because when you look at the Bears' injury report, there are some significant guys that, DNP did not practice or limited and stuff. But if some of those guys fall off the injury report by tomorrow, then I think it'll increase their chances.
As always, Tom, we appreciate the time, but we do want to ask you about taking on the Baltimore Colts in your day. What do you recall that?
What do you got there, buddy?
No, the only funny thing about it is the year before I got there, the Bears were playing the Baltimore Colts, and maybe it was 2 years, and they went they got beat at the end of the game. And they got these big laundry carts in the locker room. And so they were getting ready, and Dicka got so mad that he punched the laundry cart with a bare hand. And so at the end of yelling at the players, he said, "Father, lead him in prayer. Doctor, come back in the back. I got to see you." And then
wow.
he comes out after that with a cast on his hand, and he broke his hand.
Oh, my God.
And then the next week, I think you played Tampa, and there's the 85 highlight video narrated by the late Harry Callis.
Yeah.
He now wears a shirt and tie to remind him to keep composed. And he once broke his hand punching a locker, and they show him coaching with the broken hand. It was awesome, man.
Yes.
Loved it. Yes. Loved it. Hey, you have a wonderful. By the way, I went to the Notre Dame game. Okay.
I was wondering as I was watching it if you ended up going or not.
No, we went. We were in the rain, the whole deal. I went to Irish basketball practice. Let me just tell you something. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I'm the biggest Notre Dame fan. I like Marcus Freeman a lot. That is the freaking big leagues. Wow, what a great environment that was.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot different than when I went there. Now it is a professional environment, indoor facility, which we didn't have. The stadium seat 59,075 when I was there, and now it's, 85,000, whatever. And just the facilities that these guys have. I mean, we had a weight room that was the size of a small restaurant. Now it's the size of a mall.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. But anyway, had a lot of fun. So
Tom, Tom, make sure that you text me the information about what the alums are saying to try to keep Freeman happy. A lot of teams are looking at Freeman to be their next coach in the South.
Penn State, too.
And in the South.
Yep, I listen there.
Florida.
Why not? I'm kind of hearing that Lane Kiffin's going to go to Florida.
It's amazing, the money. Kurt Cignetti he was making $450 a year 2 years ago. Now he's making 11.6, third highest paid coach in the country.
It's the
only person that you'll hear, Tom, that says, "Oh yeah, I like Bloomington. Me and my family, we like Bloomington. We're going to stay around for a while." That's what he said. He's like, "We're good." He's not trying to go someplace else.
He's 65 years old. He's like, "I'm comfortable. I'm good." Emerging superpower, Indiana.
Crazy.
That's right.
All right, buddy. Thank you so much.
All right, man.
Travel safely. You too, man.
Tom Thayer loves his Aurelio's Pizza. It's Chicago's oldest pizza chain. Make Aurelio's part of your weekend plans. Aurelio's. It's the sauce.
We love Tom Thayer. That guy's so good. He's just a great person, but he's so good to talk to.
That's exactly right.
Thayer Thursday. Waddle Wednesday. We are blessed.
Yes. What about Albert Breer?
He's awesome, too.